I always knew from an early age that I wanted to be a runner. I just never knew the struggles I would have to overcome. I was diagnosed with dyslexia from a young age, and from that point on, I knew my life was never going to be easy. And while most people think dyslexia only affects reading and spelling, they could not be more wrong. For I am an excellent reader, speller, not so much. Dyslexia is much more complicated. It can affect your time management, your concentration, your ability to absorb information, and so much more, which often meant I struggled a lot academically. But there was always one thing I was really good at: running. I have always struggled with things, and running was no exception. One of the main struggles I've had to overcome is my iron deficiency. The iron deficiency I have was when your ferritin was low, which means that the iron stored in your body for when you need it. Female athletes particularly struggle with this, especially long distance runners, as they use more ferritin, so their stores need to be higher than others. The main struggle of my iron deficiency was when I did not know I had it, and I would be racing, and I had lots of energy, but for some reason I could not go any faster. But the hardest thing was to keep motivated. There was even a couple of weeks after I got diagnosed with my iron deficiency where I still didn't feel any better, and I just wanted to give up. But I just kept reminding myself that this will pass and I will go back to where I was, and thankfully I was right. Another struggle I have faced being a runner is my hypermobility, which means that my joints, except my hips, have an unusual large range of movement. I'm also able to move my limbs into positions other people find impossible. This means because of this, I have to buy running shoes that need more support to stop me promoting the support I need for my shoes. The main struggle of having hypermobility is that sometimes when I am running, I turn my ankle over, which is much more painful as I have more room between my ankles. But the hardest thing about having hypermobility is that it will never go away, and I just have to learn to live with it. The other struggle that I have faced, like in any sport, is injury. Although when I was younger, I never really had this problem, but then in the year 2021, I strained the angular tendons tendon, which is the tendon at the front of your foot. Thankfully, it was not dangerous, as when I visited the practitioner, he found no lasting inflammation. This means this was a one-off, not an injury, not a weakness. I was told to rest it for a month, as well as doing some exercises he recommended, such as the balance ball to strengthen the tendon, then come back to running slowly. The hardest thing about my tendon injury was that 1 month where I wasn't allowed to run. I didn't know whether my tendon injury would go away. Even though I was told by a professional that it would, I still had a nagging feeling in the back of my mind telling me that it was all a lie, and I would never be able to run again. Thankfully, that was not the case, and eventually I was able to run again. The tendon strain happened in August, so I missed track season. Thankfully, I was able to start running again on the track in October, but I didn't really do full track sessions till December. It was also typical that I just started to get my stamina back and I got COVID in December. This sent me back to stage one again, and I had to ride out the rest of the winter season and not compete. This was hard, especially for a middle distance runner, as the winter season is when you build up stamina with longer runs.
Oh, do I think Rebecca could become professional? Yes, I do. I do. If that's something she wanted to do, I don't see why not. She's got talent. She works incredibly hard at training. She loves her running, which is a key thing. She's always stuck at it. She's a great member of the club, and I think if that's something she wants to do, then she could definitely achieve becoming professional. How well does Rebecca work with her teammates? She works really well with her teammates. But she's always worked well with it. Ever since she's joined the club, when she was little, she's always got on well with other people. And she's always trained very hard. And, she's picked up club awards. She's picking one up this month, in fact. She's got one for a great cross-country season that she's had. So, she's really valued in the club, gets on well with everyone. And, she doesn't always listen to me, but... But then I'm a coach, and so sometimes that happens, doesn't it? But no, I'm just joking. She's very well respected. How do I think Rebecca handles the pressure of running? I think she does really well, because some of these events are very well attended. Not everyone can run in front of a lot of people, and sometimes you're out there, just a few of you are running around the track, so there is a lot of pressure out there. But she turns up early, she goes for a warm up, she has a system. And when she's been through that, gets her head in the right space. I think she does it. I think she handles it really well.
Do I think Rebecca has what it takes to go pro? I would say, as her club mate, from what I've seen in her training and her races, yeah, she definitely has what it takes, especially with the speed and endurance and her determination and everything she puts into her running. I can definitely see her going to the Paralympics. So, yeah, definitely. What is my favourite memory of Rebecca running? I would have to say Essex cross country jumps this year when she was in fifth place, which surprised me a little bit because she's normally top three. And she has about 200 metres to go and she just steps it up a gear as she always does. And I thought, oh, maybe she'll get second. But she did such a phenomenal sprint. She manages to dip on the line and she becomes first. And I think why this is my favourite moment is it's the determination on her face. I've never seen her that determined in my life. How well does Rebecca work with her clubmates? Well, from my personal opinion, I think we all work really well with each other. We're all a tight little unit. We always help each other in competitions, even when we're racing against each other. We push each other to be our best. We push ourselves in training, and even outside, we're always texting each other. We hang out outside, and we're all like a little family unit. So,
do I think Rebecca has what it takes to become a professional athlete? I definitely think she has the potential, especially when you consider the current UK number one is 10 years older than Rebecca. Rebecca's only 19. She's very talented. Her times are great. And if she works hard, then yeah, she definitely has the potential to be a professional athlete and fulfill her dream of competing at the Paralympics. Definitely the England Senior Disability Championships last year. Coming into the final bend, she was actually in third place and she did a phenomenal sprint, which people at her club are still talking about and were passing around the video of it. And she actually crossed the line first. She beat two other athletes, again, 10 years older than her. And it was just a phenomenal sprint. I think Rebecca handles the pressure of competing quite well. It helps that we have a little routine, and I see it as my job to actually get her to the race early so she's not flustered, she's not panicked, and she's got time to relax. She then does her warm up at a set time, and I always say to her, if something goes wrong, it's just one race, and I think that helps like reduce pressure on her.
have I always wanted to be a runner? I would say, yeah. I mean, I remember from a young age, even the age of 4, I would always run around the supermarket. I could never stay still. And it wasn't like any other sport I wanted to do. I mean, yeah, I did swimming, but it wasn't like a passion. I used to love sports day with running. And I think it's just always been a hidden passion of mine until I was at the age that I could do it competitively. What challenges have I had to overcome? I would say a big one is definitely people underestimating me. I mean, it's hard when you believe in yourself, but other people around you don't. And I think that's hard. And sometimes you have to get into the mindset that other people aren't always going to believe in you, and you have to be able to push yourself and know the capability you have to get further. How hard is it having to balance both college and running? I would say it's quite hard. I do find myself sometimes prioritizing running over college work, and I shouldn't do that. I think it's just I'm trying to be the best I can be, and sometimes that just happens. I do have a system where I tend to do all my college work in college and stay after classes, work during lunch and stuff, just so I don't have so much to do when I get home and I can focus more on running. How did I cope in 2020? 2020 was really hard because we had no training whatsoever. Nothing. We didn't really start until 2021, and that was really difficult. We got training sessions set, but we had to run by ourselves. And it's different when you're running in like a team with your training group. Like you can push each other. You're having to work by yourself. And I would say I did lose a lot of my speed, and it's different running on roads to track. And that's probably why I did get an injury in 2021, because I was running so much on the road. I would say the hardest thing though wasn't even the training. It was having the motivation to train, because we're always training and doing stuff because we want to do competitions, and there weren't any competitions. So it was the motivation having to be like, I have to do this because when competitions do come back, I need to be at the level I was before COVID hit. I think that was the most difficult part of it. I always knew the road to the Paralympics was not going to be easy. For me, this is no exception. But there is no place I feel at home like on a racing track.